Now let's go straight across to Omar Abdullah, very much the man of the moment. Thank you, Mr. Abdullah, very much for being with us.
And congratulations.
And congratulations. You won both your seats this time around. The margin of your win and of the performance of the National Conference, be honest with us, is it better than what you had expected?
Sorry. Actually, yes. I didn't expect as many seats as this. I think our expectations, or personally my expectations, were tempered by the Parliament loss a couple of months ago. So I didn't want to get carried away with what to expect. But I'm humbled and deeply grateful to the voters for the mandate that they've given us.
You know, I noticed that you didn't lose your sense of humor this morning when a reporter asked you about whether you were going to win the elections. You said he'd come to a place to run during the assembly elections. When you were leading, you went back home and you'd lost. Quite clearly, that didn't happen. That didn't happen this time around.
Thank goodness not. Yeah, I was a little worried about that.
And how do you look at the performance of your alliance partner, Mr. Abdullah, the Congress?
Look, I'm sure the Congress will do its own soul searching. I can be greedy and say, look, we could have done with a few more seats. Anybody could have. We could have done with 50, 60, 70. But look, I'm grateful for as many as we've got. We've crossed the halfway mark. The Congress was instrumental in this alliance in getting us here. As I said in a few interviews during the campaign, for the National Conference, the alliance with the Congress was less about seats and more about perception. We knew that the handful of seats we were going to be giving the Congress, particularly in the Valley, were seats that we would otherwise have won. But for us, it was important to give the voters the sense that this was an alliance that could form a government without the need of the BJP. And that was important for us in the National Conference.
In terms of elections in Kashmir, and particularly in the Valley, it's regional sentiment and identity politics play such an important part. That's obviously something which you have banked on during your election campaign. It's also something which the PDP was potentially banking on. But they've had a disastrous run. They're down 25 from last time. So in terms of the politics of identity and in cashing or working with regional sentiment, do you believe that it's the National Conference alone in Jammu and Kashmir which owns that space as a result of these elections?
Look, nobody owns space permanently. You have to continue to work to occupy space. I mean, this was space that we ceded for a few elections. So it's space that the National Conference currently occupies, but we can't take it for granted. It's not space that's given to us in perpetuity. We need to work to continue to remain relevant to the voters. The voters have given us a resounding opportunity. Now we have to live up to that opportunity and to prove ourselves worthy of that verdict. One of the challenges we are going to have, and I'm sure this would have been a question coming up, is that this government, when it does get formed, will have far less participation from Jammu than should have been there. Jammu has voted almost overwhelmingly for the BJP. Now this government, when it is formed, will have to redouble its efforts to give a sense of ownership to the people of Jammu. We will have to convince the people of Jammu that this government is not just for the National Conference and the Congress. It's not just for the people who voted for us. This government is for every single person in Jammu and Kashmir, be it a National Conference voter, a Congress voter, a BJP voter, or a person who didn't vote at all. It's going to be a challenge, but it's something we're going to have to do.
What about working with the centre on some of your core issues? For example, on Article 370's revocation in 2019, a lot of people would say, look, that is done and dusted irrespective of what you may feel. You do, of course, need to work with the centre for all sorts of reasons for Jammu and Kashmir, not least of all, development. Are you willing to take a look at your relationship with the BJP and at the centre afresh in order to govern?
And also the Raj Bhavan in Srinagar.
Yeah, look, none of us are foolish enough, nor did we try and convince the voters that we were going to work on our 370 agenda with this current government in Delhi. we know that you're not going to get it back from the government that took it away from you. So set that aside for now. Our immediate priority is to work with the government in Delhi to get statehood back for Jammu and Kashmir. Now, in that respect, I believe that the Prime Minister is an honorable man. He has promised the people of Jammu and Kashmir that statehood will be restored. He promised it in every single speech that he made while campaigning here. The Honorable Home Minister did the same. And therefore, once the government is formed, I'd like to believe that the Chief Minister will come to Delhi, talk to the Prime Minister and others, and establish a good working relationship. A hostile relationship is not in the interest of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. I don't believe it's in the interest of the union government either. I don't think the government of India will benefit in any way by having any sort of hostile or difficult relationship with Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir has enough problems as it is. We have hostile neighbors on both sides. We don't need a hostile relationship with government of India as well. So it would be my advice to the incoming government in J&K to move to have a good working relationship with government of India, and at the same time figure out a working relationship with Raj Bhavan for the duration that we're a union territory. We're going to have to figure out how to work together. Now, unfortunately, with this Lieutenant Governor, we have no relationship at all. If there has been one, it's been one that's been a little hostile rather than anything else. So we're going to have to restart from a fresh page and figure out a good working relationship there as well.
Important words over there, a conciliatory tone that seems absolutely clear. Mr. Abdullah, you spoke about hostile neighbors. We face a law and order and a terrorism-related situation south in the Jammu region, the greater Jammu region now. In a sense, terrorism has always moved from the valley to that region. The number of casualties among security forces has gone up. Do you see security as being one of your primary concerns as you come to power, dealing this new facet of terrorism?
Well, I would like it to be, I would like to have the responsibility of dealing with it, but right now we don't. As a union territory, the responsibility for security, law and order, policing is the responsibility of the Lieutenant Governor. And therefore what happens on a security front, attacks in Jammu, are something he has to deal with. I do hope that Jammu and Kashmir gets statehood back and gets it back quickly. Then the elected government will be responsible as in other states. And then we will do right by Jammu and ensure that that peace and calm is restored.
Okay, Mr. Abdullah, of course you don't need PDP. You are going to form this government. You have the number to form the government. But would you extend that offer for them to join the government to make it more inclusive, because make it about Gupkar?
It's honestly not a thought that's crossed our minds. At the moment, making this government more inclusive with regard to Kashmir is not the challenge. The challenge is to make this government more inclusive for the people of Jammu. And unfortunately, the PDP doesn't have any seats from Jammu.
Okay, Professor Sandeep Shastri, Omar has a question for you. Professor Shastri, go ahead.
Congratulations, Omar ji, on this victory. And it is wonderful to hear these sentiments of yours of wanting to work in collaboration with the centre. But with the National Conference also being a part of the India coalition, would the realities of politics somewhere come in the way, because there would be the larger picture of how politics shapes up between the India coalition on the one hand and the NDA on the other? So do you see any complication coming up because of that factor?
The wider India coalition's responsibilities are largely the Congress parties in the rest of the country. And again, I would like to believe that the Congress party will be responsible enough not to try and push the government of Jammu and Kashmir into an antagonistic relationship with the union government. If we're not looking for a fight, I don't think one should be forced on us. Jammu and Kashmir is now not due a major election for at least 4.5 years. You have 4.5 years before the parliament election, 5 years for the next assembly election. I think we need to give time for this government to work, and it will have to work in partnership, in a relationship with the union government.
All right, those are very important words over there. One final question. I know the Congress has won just a handful of seats compared to you, just 6. But there would perhaps be expectations of certain ministerial berths. Has there been any conversation with the Congress leadership, if not on berths, then on anything else, post these results coming out?
Well, Rahul was kind enough to call my father and offer his congratulations. I had a call from Khargeji, and he offered his congratulations for both the performance of the National Conference and for the alliance as a whole. But beyond that, there have been no conversations. The National Conference is yet to elect its legislative party leader, at which point in time we'll sit down with the allies and see what has to be done.
All right. Omar Abdullah.
Okay. There is a question coming in from Neerja Chaudhary as well.
We aren't going to let you go that easily,
Just 30
Omar.
seconds more. Yes.
30 seconds more.
Are
After
you,
that, yeah,
are you
go ahead.
all set to become the next Chief Minister of J&K?
Am I set to become the next Chief Minister of J&K?
Yes.
Honestly, I don't know. That's for the legislative
No, but your
party of the
father said
National
that you are the next Chief Minister.
I knew that was coming.
Yes.
My father does tend to sort of get in before anybody else.
Oh, you asked
That's
him a
not the way
question, he
things
gave us an answer. There's no reason to believe you aren't going to be the Chief Minister now, is there?
No, I will just say this much, that the legislative party of the National Conference is yet to meet, after which the alliance has to meet as well. Once those two are on the same page, then we'll know who the Chief Minister is.
All right.
So there is a process over there. Thank you, Omar Abdullah, very much the man of the moment in Jammu and Kashmir. Congratulations on a fantastic election performance.